Hi, I'm Leslie LaPlace, Fitness Manager at Goodwin House, Alexandria. And today I'm going to show you a number of exercises that you can do to strengthen and stretch your hips and glutes. This is going to dovetail with the part 3 of the anatomy series on hips and glutes. And I'm going to go over first exercises that you can do standing, and then you'll see seated exercises, and then I'm going to have floor exercises. Now, some of these exercises translate to all 3 positions. Some are better on the floor, but you should have a number of exercises and stretches from this video that you can do to keep your hips and glutes nice and healthy. So we're going to start again in a standing position. Please make sure that you have a chair or a counter or a wall nearby, something to make sure that you have for balance. And because they're standing, it will also work your balance at the same time, so you get that little bonus there. So the first thing we're going to do are some straight leg raises. And we're going to start by standing up nice and straight, shoulders down. And we're going to just start by shifting our weight over to the left, and we're going to lift our right leg up, and then we're going to take it down with control. Now again, you can use this as a balance exercise as well, but if you have some trouble with balance or you need a little help, I'd rather you focus on the exercise and hold on, because trying to balance yourself, you may lose your form in doing these. What you want to think about as you're raising and lowering your leg is, as you raise, you want to make sure your abs are tight. So as you lift this leg, you want to pull that belly button towards your spine, and then you can relax as you lower the leg. Notice I'm not lifting my leg and then just letting it drop. I'm going to switch to the other leg for now. So again, it's up and down with control. Try not to lean. Keep your body straight. And again, if you need the help, even just one finger is amazing how much help that will give you with your balance. So again, you're lifting and lowering that leg. So for all exercises, I recommend 10 to 15, making sure you do the same number on both, okay? Now we're going to do this backwards. So again, using a chair if you need, we're going to lift the leg behind us. Now, and then you're going to lower. I want you to focus on making sure that you're keeping your body still and you're lifting your leg from your glute. So what I want you to try not to do is to just throw your leg up, arching your back. It's a leg lift. We're not we're not getting our body into it, and we're lifting from our bum, from our glutes. That's what these are. So I'm going to lift one more time, and I'm going to switch legs. So I'm going to lift, and then lower. And I'm going to lift. Now I'm not bending my leg. I am lifting straight back, or mostly straight. There's probably a little bend at the knee, and that's okay. And again, as I lift, I'm not bending forward, because that kind of decreases the work that you're doing in the glutes. Okay? Again, you're doing 10 to 15 of all of these. I'm only going to do about 5 to 6 on each for time. Next exercise is squats. Now, I've had people say to me in the past, I don't do squats. Well, that's kind of hard to get through your day without doing a squat, because you squat every time you go to the bathroom. You squat every time you sit in a chair. So we do squats all the time, and we just don't know it. So to do a squat in a standing position, and you can do this in front of a chair if you're concerned about your balance as well, is that you're just going to stand with your feet about hip-width apart, and a squat is always going to start with the hips. So what I often see when I ask people to do a squat is they start with the knees. And we don't want to do that. We want to start with the hips. So I'm going to push my hips back. I'm going to hinge at my hips so that my body hinges at my hips. And then I'm going to lower. And then I'm going to push through the heels, come up, and stand all the way. Again, I'm coming down and then pushing my feet into the floor as hard as I can. Now, if you're not sure that you're doing it right, you can get right in front of a wall. So you can get a few inches away from a wall and start in your squat. If you're doing it correctly, when you squat, your bum will touch the wall. Other thing to think about when you're doing a squat, a couple things, is you want to make sure your knees stay right over the laces on your shoe. Or if you don't have laces, where laces might be, or think of the middle of your foot, your second and third toe. So notice that my knees they should be tracking pretty straight over my toes, and I'm coming up. Again, a lot of times I see when people come down and squat, the knees cave in. We want to keep those knees straight ahead. What you can do is, if you find, you can check your knees as you're doing this, is if you have a ball or a small pillow, a pillow you could even fold over, or a yoga block, you can put it between the knees, and then as I come down, it's going to keep my knees in alignment. It's keeping my knees aligned with my hips, which is what we want. We want our hips and our knees and our ankles all in one line. And lastly, two things. We want to make sure that our chest stays lifted, okay? When we come forward, we don't want to bend, okay? That could give you some lower back issues. We want to keep the chest up. And then as you're squatting down, your abs are tight. You're pulling that belly button in, and then you relax when you come up, okay? And always, please remember to breathe when you're doing any exercise, or even when you're stretching. You don't want to hold your breath. You want to continue to breathe throughout all the movements. All right, next, lunges. So we're going to do two kinds. One is dynamic, which means it's moving. We're going to move in and out of the lunge. And the other is going to be a static, where we stay in one place. So dynamic lunges, I'm going to show you forward and backward. So again, I'll start from the side so you can see. If I step forward and then drop my back knee down, you'll see that my back knee is bent. My front knee is at about a 90-degree angle. Now everybody is different. If you've got knee problems or flexibility, even if you just do a little lunge like this, that's okay. When I want to come up, I'm going to push through my heel. I'm going to push this whole foot into the floor and push my way up, and then back. So you're going to step forward, and you want to make sure you have a big enough step. If you take a little step like this, and then you drop that back knee, for a lot of people, they tend to push forward. And then what happens is, you can look, your knee is out over the top of your toes. And we always want to keep our knee behind the tops of the toes. All right, so again, we're going to step forward, down, and then come up and back in. From the front, let's take a look. Stepping forward, knee is straight and over the laces, come down and up. And again, keeping your body upright. I'm not falling forward. This move is great for building up leg strength as well. And if you're on the floor and you're going to get up, you're often you're in that lunge position as you get up. It's also useful if you have to pick something up off the floor. You lunge forward, you pick up, and you stand up, and you're using your lower body. You can do the same thing going, so if a forward lunge, for some people doing that, you may get a little knee pain. you can always try it in a backward position. So you're going to take a step back, drop that back knee down, push up, and come up. And again, you want your forward knee over the laces. When I'm ready to come up, I'm pushing my forward foot into the floor as hard as I can. You're going to feel your hamstrings and glutes engage, and that's going to give you that power to come up. And again, I'm here, and I'm coming up, okay? Static lunge. We're just going to get into a lunge position. Now, here's the key, is that whenever you're in this position, the wider your legs, and always make sure you have a chair nearby, the wider your back leg, the more stability you are going to have, okay? The closer your legs are, your feet are in line with one another, the harder it is, because now you have a very narrow base of support. Think of trying to balance on a 4-inch balance beam, okay? So wherever is comfortable for you, you're going to take a big step back, and then we're going to stay in this position, keeping our body upright, and we're going to just go down and up, and keeping our legs here, down and up. Forward knee, so you're going to come up, it'll come out of the bend. When I come down, it's going to bend. It should be somewhat over my ankle, and it's over the laces, and that knee is pointing forward. My body stays upright. I'm going to switch legs. My body stays upright. My abs are engaged. Whoops. And I'm pushing through this foot, and I'm going up and down. Okay? All right. Shake it out. Gate openers. This is really good for the hips. So again, standing near a chair, we're going to lift that leg. In this case, we're lifting the right leg. And just to hold it up, you've got to engage your core. Now, we're going to open up. We're going to take the leg out to the side and then bring it back in and across the midline. Now, some people may have had a hip replacement or there's something else, and you are limited in taking your knee over across the midline of your body. If that's the case, just take it and then just stop right here. But as you take the leg open, it's important we're not turning our body, right? I'm keeping my hips forward and I'm opening up. This hip will open up a little bit, but my left hip is staying open. It's staying straight ahead. We want to stay up nice and straight. Squeeze your glutes. That's going to stabilize you as well. Let's do the other leg. So you're going to lift the leg. Because the leg is lifted, we're engaging our abs, and that's helping to stabilize and support us. We're going to take that leg out to the side. Now you may find one side is better than the other. You may find that, oh, one side really works better. That's just because we've got different flexibility on one side versus the other. So, you may find I tend to have tightness in one area, so maybe it won't open as much. So you take it over and across, and over and across. And that's also helping to stretch out your psoas, which is attached. It goes from your pelvis and attaches to the femur, which is your thigh bone. All right. I should have gotten a band, but that's okay. If you have a stretchy band, you can step on a stretchy band and do one leg as well. So with this, you can just stay behind your chair, and we're just going to lift our leg up and out to the side. And as you do, you want to make sure that your body, you're not tilting, okay? So you're lifting, and I like to cue by thinking of lifting through the heel. You want to notice that my toes are pretty much facing forward. I'm not rotating so that my foot, I don't want to rotate so that my foot is out. I want to keep my toes facing forward, and I'm going to lift my leg up and down with control. So I'm going to do the other side, move the chair over, and I'm going to lift. And notice that I don't lift the leg and then just let it plop. We always want to take it out and down with some control. Just don't let gravity pull the leg down. You can take it out slowly and then down a little faster, but again, you're doing it with control. Now, I didn't bring a band, but you can stand on a band and hold it with one hand and then push that leg the same side that you're holding, and you can push the leg out against the band, and that will give you extra resistance, and this is great for building up the hip muscles and one of the gluteus muscles, your gluteus medius, okay? So the next one is a ball squeeze. So you're going to put the ball between the knees, and we're going to, a couple ways we can do this. We can squeeze the ball and release. And squeeze, now we're working those inner thigh muscles, and we can squeeze and release. Now you can also do one leg at a time. So standing, I'm going to shift all my weight over to the right, and then bring that leg down, squeezing, and then releasing. And squeeze and release. I find that I can really feel the muscles working a little bit more because I can get a bigger range of motion here in the legs. And then you can shift to the other side and pull it down and squeeze and release. And squeeze and release. Squeeze and release. Good. All right. So I am going to grab a strap because I forgot a strap, so don't go away. And then I will also show you that what you can do for the side of your leg. So you would stand on the band, hold it in one hand, so that you can do it with two, but if you need to hold something for balance, and then you'll just push your leg out against the band. So here it's very easy to turn your foot because the band is adding that resistance. So it's really important here to keep those toes forward. Okay? All right. Sorry about that distraction. So I guess we didn't. Let's go ahead and cross our right foot behind the left. And again, this is a little unstable for some, so again, make sure you have something nearby. And we're going to take our right arm up and over and reach over. Now, if this is hard for you because of shoulder issues, you can just stand and reach over like this. So we're going to reach over. Now, you're going to push your feet into the floor, really ground them down. Push your hip towards the floor while your arm is reaching overhead. And you're going to feel a really nice stretch down into your hip. So if you are tight in here, you're going to feel that stretch. You're just going to feel, you should never feel pain, you're just going to feel a slight kind of a pulling or a tugging. Some stretching, you may feel some maybe discomfort, but that's okay as long as you don't feel pain. And you want to hold stretches for about at least 30 seconds, okay? Another one, let's keeping our legs here, is we can take a deep breath in, lift our arms up, and now as we come down and exhale, we're going to come down towards our left side. You can bend your knees a little, and again, push your feet, particularly push your right foot into the floor as hard as possible. And you're going to feel that stretch in the right hip. Okay? I'm not holding them for the full time, but again, you want to hold them for about 30 seconds. You can even do stretches 2 to 3 times, holding them for 30 seconds. All right, so let's do the other side. Again, if you want, you can bring your arm over. And notice that I'm not like leaning all the way over. I'm just reaching my arm over, and now I'm going to start pushing my hip towards the floor. And I'm going to get not only a nice stretch through my hip, but I'm also going to get a nice stretch through my back, through my side as well. Good. Now we're going to go ahead and take a deep breath in. And exhale, we're going to come down to the right, a little bend in the knees, push your left foot in. So your left foot is the one that's now on the outside, and we're coming down. Good. And come on up. And be careful as you're coming up. And let's go back into that lunge position. So big step back with your left leg. Big step. And here, we're going to go ahead and push that left hip forward. So now you've got to have a bend in the knee. Notice that my knee is, again, straight over my foot. It's about over my ankle. Don't let your knee go past the tops of your toes. And I'm pushing this hip forward. Now you should feel a stretch in the front of your hips, maybe into your thighs, the top of your thighs. If you don't, are you pushing forward? You can also squeeze your glute on your left glute. So that's going to get that stretch just a little deeper. Now, if you want, you can add an overhead stretch. So you can take, it's the arm that's on the same side, so if you need something to hold on to, make sure that when you have your left leg back, something is that you can hold is to your right, so that you can hold on with your right hand. Now you're going to take your left arm over and keep pushing forward through this back hip. It's important to make sure that your forward foot does not have the weight on the toes. You want to try to get weight towards the heel a little bit, and this will, challenge your balance just a little bit. You're reaching over. The other thing you can do is, if you can take your hands to the side of the leg and pull yourself around as you push forward through your hip. So I'm still pushing forward and I'm rotated. Good. So now let's do the other side. So big step back. This stretch is great if you've been sitting for a long period of time. You can be doing art, you can be reading, you can be at the computer, if you're traveling in a car, or whatever you're doing where you're sitting, this is a great stretch. Also, if you have any back pain after you're sitting, this stretch can really help just kind of alleviate some of that back discomfort, because when these muscles are tight, they're pulling you forward, and the muscles in the front of your hip are attached to your pelvis. So if you stretch them out, everything in your hip area is just going to feel so much better. So let's go ahead and push that hip forward as well. I'm pushing this right hip forward. And then again, you can add that arm reach, that overhead arm reach. And then I'm going to come back, and then or you can just add the turn. So I'm putting my hands here, and I'm using my leg to kind of pull around. Good. All right. Shake it out. Remember to breathe. Next thing, let's go back, take that left leg back. We're gonna stretch out the hamstrings and our calves. So in this position, so one thing, let me show you just very quickly the hip flex, the stretch that we just did, what it looks like from the side. So if I'm here, then I'm pushing forward. So you can see how I shifted my weight forward, okay? So with the calf, taking my left leg back, I'm in the same position. My feet are all going in the same direction. Try not to check your back foot and see if you can close so that your toes are all going forward. And here, I'm just going to push my heel into the ground. And I can hinge forward, lean forward. If you have a chair or a counter, you can push against it. It'll help give you a little bit of leverage. And I'm pushing my back heel down into the ground, and I'm stretching out the back part of my lower leg. That's your calf muscle. Those are your calf muscles. So if you've looked at the other videos from the other articles, I think in the last one I may have done this exercise as a calf stretch. And now, staying in this position, we're going to work we're going to stretch the hamstring of the right leg. So from here, I usually like to tuck my foot in about a step, and now I'm going to shift my weight back onto my hip. So it looks like this. So if I was here, I step it in a little bit and then shift back like I'm sitting in a chair. Pulling your toes up towards the ceiling, and now you should feel that stretch up the back of the leg. And if you want a deeper stretch, you can reach with one or both hands or just the other hand, so whichever one you can reach. Here, your abs need to be engaged. You've got to have that belly button pulled in and nice and tight. That is protecting and supporting that lower back when you are in this position. Okay, so now let's switch legs. Big step back with the right and push down. And remember to breathe. Make sure your knee is over the ankle, knee is over the, pointing right over the middle of the foot. And I'm pushing my back heel into the floor. Toes are all forward, abs are tight. And I'm breathing. Good, now I'm going to step my foot in about one step, shift my weight back, like I'm sitting in a chair, and I'm pulling my toes up to the ceiling. So if your foot's just like this, you're not going to get that stretch all the way up the back of the leg and the hamstrings. You want to pull those toes, and you want to keep that tension on pulling your toes towards you. And then you're sitting down, sitting down. And again, you can reach with one or both hands or arms. Abs are tight and breathing. So you should have felt that all the way up the back of the leg. Okay? So that's the standing. Make sure you breathe through all the movement. Next, we're going to do seated. Thank you. We're going to go over some of the seated exercises that you can do for your hips and glutes. So make sure that you have a chair, preferably a chair that has a firm seat. Easy chairs and soft cushy chairs are really sometimes difficult to keep good posture in, and you tend to sink in them, so it can make doing some of these exercises just a little bit difficult. All right, so we're going to sit down. We're going to sit on the edge of the chair. And we're going to start with those leg raises. So sitting, just make sure you can see my legs. Also, if you're not on the edge of your seat and you're seated all the way back, when you do your leg raise, you're not actually going up very high, and you end up just bending the knee a lot. So we want to sit forward in the chair, the leg is straight out, toes are up to the ceiling, and again, you want to make sure that your abs are tight as you lift your leg up and then slowly take it down. And you're going to lift up and down. And you want to, as you're lifting up, you don't want to sink back into the chair. Stay up nice and straight, abs tight right here. So now you're getting a nice little core workout as well with that leg workout. And let's go ahead and switch. As I said, we're just going to do, maybe 5 or 6 of each exercise. And lift. And lift. Again, notice that I'm staying up pretty straight. And as I lift my leg, I get my abs really tight, my whole core area. And let's do one more. Good. All right. So let's work those glutes a little bit. So we're going to sit up nice and straight, and we're just going to squeeze our glutes together. So it's basically squeezing your butt cheeks in together and then holding and relaxing. Now, I don't know if you can see me on the video, but as I squeeze, I'm going to pop up a couple, like an inch or two, and then when I relax, I'm sitting back down. So I'm going to squeeze and then release. So it's just clenching those butt cheeks together and then releasing. You can do this if you're standing, sitting, if you're lying in bed. So anytime you can certainly do this. If you're standing in a line, you can do this as well and relax. Let's do one more and squeeze and release. Good. All right. Squats. So our squats and or our sit and stands. So we're going to go ahead and stay on the edge of our seat. And we're going to have our legs about hip width apart and our feet not way out in front. It's very hard to get leverage and to get your body up when your legs are out and your feet are out. So you want to make sure you pull your feet in close to the chair. All right, so when you stand up, your feet are right underneath you. Now the other thing you can do is you can put the ball, if you have a ball, or a small pillow between the knees. What this does is this is going to keep your knees in alignment with your hips, and it will keep your knees from falling in. So sometimes I see when people go to stand out of a chair, they use their pushing against their knees, and we don't want to do that. We want to be kind to our knees. So using a ball or a pillow just keeps your knees in alignment. So let's go ahead and stand up, and then we sit down. We don't plop. We sit down with control. We stand all the way up. Now, when you come up, think of pushing your feet into the floor as hard as you can, and then sitting down. You can lean a little forward to get some momentum, and then stand up. Let's do it one more time. Let's stand up. Good. And sit down. Now you can always, when you're up standing, you can always do your little squat right here. So you don't have to come all the way down to the chair. And if you need some assistance, you can use the arms to give yourself a push and then let go. Stand up all the way, the rest of the way on your own. Okay, we can also do some lunges here in a chair. Now it's a little difficult with a chair that has arms. So preferably if you have a chair that does not have arms, it's a little bit easier. But I have a little lip here that'll work. So we're going to turn sideways in the chair, and you can hold on to the arms of the chair, to the arms here. That's going to give you some balance. We're going to take our outside leg, we're going to bend the knee, and we're going to tuck our toes under, right here. So our foot is on the floor, or, some people are more petite. You might just be able to get the ball of your foot here. What I want you to do is now you're going to start to stand up and push yourself up. Now you can come just part way down and then up again. So now we're doing our static lunge that we were doing in a standing position. We're coming up and down right here. You can also come all the way down and then all the way up. And of course, whatever you do on one side, you want to do on the other. So again, you're going to turn sideways, drop that outside leg down, tuck your toes under, and you're going to push yourself up. So you can come down and up into the all the way to the chair, or you can just do a little lunge right here. But remember to start the lunge with your back knee, okay? All right, so sitting forward in our chair, you can do this with or without a band. And so you really want a stretchy band for this one. First, let's do it without the band. So legs are going to be together. And again, you're on the edge of your seat. So think about moving your knee, your foot and your knee and your hip all together. So you're going to lift that right leg and take it out to the side and then in. So it's kind of like our gate opener that we did standing. Take it out and out. Again, sitting up straight, abs engaged, and out, and out. Good, so you should feel those muscles in that hip working. Now, if you want to use a band, I like to put it over the top, crisscross underneath, pull, create that resistance, and then hold the band over above the knees, okay? Just holding it. That way you're not moving the band open and you're keeping that resistance consistent. Okay, so with the left leg, same thing. We're going to sit up straight, we're going to lift that leg up, and we're going to take it out. So what I want you to think about is I don't want you to just tap your toe out to the side. That's not doing anything. We want to lift the leg just a little bit. You're moving the whole leg out to the side. So my knee and my foot go together. Good. So you should feel the muscles in the side here, deep, and they are working. Good. And breathe. And one more, and down. All right. Put that to the side. So let's get our ball again, or your pillow, or your rolled up towel. And we're going to put the ball between the legs, sit up straight, and we're going to squeeze the ball and release. And squeeze. Now when you squeeze, I want you to also think of squeezing from your belly button down into that pelvic floor. So now you're also getting a little bit of pelvic floor, strengthening in here as well. And squeeze. Let's do two more. And one. Good. And two. Nice job. All right, let's see how we're doing here. A few more. Getting into some stretches now, and then we're going to go down to the floor. All right. So if you cannot, because of hip replacement or anything else, if you cannot cross one leg over, you can just keep your legs side by side. You can even keep a ball in between the knees or the legs as well to keep your knees in alignment with your hips. So you can do it either of those ways. Let's take if you can take your right leg over. You're sitting up straight. And we're going to take our left hand and put it onto the side of that right leg and just gently pull. And we're going to pull ourselves around, staying upright. So here I want you to make sure that you're not slumped down, because when I'm slumped, I can't get around very much. This is about as far as I can go. All right? But when I sit up nice and straight, I can come around. I can get my shoulders around. So you can really feel how much more open you are when you're sitting up nice and straight. You're using your core muscles. And here you may feel a little stretch on the side of the hip here. You're also getting a nice little back stretch as well. And then of course we always do the other side. So if you're keeping your legs together, I'll go ahead and do it this way as well. You can still put your hand on the side of the leg, and you can get your shoulders turned. So it's as if you're turning and looking over your shoulder. And breathe. Keep your shoulders down, sitting up straight. All right. So how do we stretch out our hips when we're sitting in a chair? So like the lunges, we're going to turn sideways to the chair, and we're going to drop that knee. Now again, some of you may not be as flexible, and it's going to be maybe hard getting your leg down. So just go where you can. Either way, if you can, you want your knee pointing to the floor. You may get a little cramp in the bottom of your foot. And we want to just think about pushing this hip forward a little bit. You can hold on with your right hand, take that left arm up to the ceiling, and then bend towards the chair back. Bending towards the back of the chair. And now you should feel a nice little stretch in the front of your hips. So it is hard to stretch these out when you're sitting, because it's a stretch that's to stretch out the muscles from sitting when you've been sitting too long. So it can be a little difficult to do this in a seated position. And now let's do the other side. So we're going to turn, sit up straight, and the further back you can take your leg, the more stretch you're going to get in the front of that hip. So if you can just slide that leg back. Again, you've got to do what feels right for you, but if you have no pain, I always recommend going and trying to just get, going into that stretch, getting as much stretch as you can. Right arm comes up, and then you're going to bend towards the back of the chair. Keep pushing forward through this hip. And breathe. Good. All right, so let's come around to the front of the chair, and we're going to work our right leg first. You can do this with or without a strap. Now, if you don't have one of these, it's okay. You can use an old belt, a bathrobe belt, a long towel that you can just put under your foot as long as it's long enough that you can hold. So you can use a rolled up towel, an old belt, a yoga strap, okay? Or nothing is fine as well. So we're just going to get the strap underneath the ball of the foot, and we're going to sit up straight, and we're going to pull our toes towards us. Now we're getting a nice stretch through the calf. So this is the back of the lower leg. Back of the lower leg. You're in your calf muscle. This is very important just for good walking mechanics. You want everything nice and flexible down in the lower part of your leg. Now, again, I'm not holding these stretches for 30 seconds. I'm just showing you. We're going to sit up nice and straight. We're going to take a deep breath in, and we're going to exhale, and we're going to come forward. Still, keep pulling your toes towards you, and you can reach with your right hand. If you want a little deeper stretch, you can reach with your left hand. So you're reaching with the opposite hand to the outside of the leg. So wherever you can reach, and you'll feel that stretch get a lot deeper. You're going to feel the stretch in the back of the knee and maybe on up the side of the leg. That's your IT band. For a lot of people, that's very tight. And keep pulling your toes towards you. Good. So again, I would recommend doing that a couple times. And then you can use your strap. You can bring your leg, your ankle, up onto the top of the thigh. Now again, for some people, this is really difficult, so you can keep your leg down here, all right? So we're going to sit up nice and straight. You can use your hand, or you can use your elbow. And we're going to gently press down, and that's going to give us really good stretch through that hip, just kind of opening that up. You may also feel it in the inner thighs. And if you want, get a little deeper. You're going to lead with your chest and just hinge forward. Make sure you're not just bending. That's not going to get you the stretch. You can hinge forward from the hips. You're going to feel that stretch get a lot deeper. Good. So let's do the other leg, just so that we're not working one side here. But again, we're just going through these pretty quickly. And let's sit up straight and pull the toes towards you. So now you're just getting that calf muscle. And breathe. Make sure your shoulders are down. And let's take a deep breath in. Exhale and come forward, hinging at the hips. Abs are tight. We're not bending our back over and dropping the head. We're, again, think of leading with the chest. You can reach with either the left hand or you can reach across the body, trying to reach for anywhere outside the leg. And you want to keep pulling your toes towards you. Good. And now let's take this ankle up onto the thigh. Sit up straight. And let's lean forward. Again, you can use your elbow to gently press down on the inner thigh, or you can have your leg down here and just open up. This is called a figure 4 stretch. This is really good for opening up the hips and the piriformis. All right, so now we're finished with the chair and we're ready to go down to the floor. Move this out of the way. We will not need the ball. We may need the band. Okay. So let's start with our straight leg raises. Now, if you need something under your head, make sure you have something under your head. All right. So your legs are out. Bend your right knee. Flex your left foot. And we're going to lift that leg up. And then we're going to lower it down. Now, as you lift again, abs are tight. And you want to make sure that your hips are not rotating in any way. And your pelvis, this is where your core comes in, is staying stable. So your pelvis is stable and you're lifting your leg. Let's do the other side. Again, you want to do the exercises, you want to do about 10 to 15 of each. And lift. Notice I'm doing it very controlled. I'm not lifting and then I'm not just dropping my leg. You want to lift it and lower it with control. And lift and lower. Good. All right. The next one is a little difficult. It's a little bit of an advanced move, but I'm going to show you different ways of doing it. It's called a dead bug. So imagine when you see a dead bug on the ground, it's often on its back, legs are up. So your arms and legs are up in the air. Now for some, this is really hard. So you can bend your knees, okay? And again, I'm going to give you some modifications on this one. So legs are up, arms are up. This is all about stability through your torso and your core. And we're going to drop the right leg as we drop the left arm. So it's an opposite arm and leg. And you got to keep your core nice and tight and then back up. So this is going to work those hip flexors, and then you're going to switch sides. Notice that my arm and leg of the other legs are staying up in the air, and you're not letting your back arch up. So this is a really good core exercise as well. So we're dropping. I'm going to do one more with my legs straight up, and then I'm going to go into some modifications. So legs are bent. You can just tap down and bring it up. Your legs are going to stay at 90 degrees. You're just tapping your foot, tapping the toes down, Notice that I'm not arching up. Now, you can also just take it back a little bit, because even just a little bit, you're going to start to feel everything engage. So it is a hard move, but you know, if you're comfortable with it, you can go ahead and do the dead bugs. All right. Oh, we actually could use a ball on this one. So bridges, so many of us have had bridges assigned to us for PT, for core, glutes, back and everything. Bridges are an amazing exercise. So you can do it with or without a ball or a pillow between your knees. Again, if you don't have a ball, you can just use a pillow. So you can have it between the knees. Again, this is going to keep your knees in alignment, but it's also going to give you a little bit of activation in those inner thighs. So I'm going to just take it out for right now. You're going to bring your heels back. Your arms are down by your side. We're going to push. You want to make sure your legs are about hip width apart. Keep your knees forward. Don't let your knees cave in. And we're going to push through the heels, squeeze our glutes, and lift our hips up. Now your abs need to be tight here as well. We're going to come down. What I don't want you to do, I want you to think about is we're not arching like this. I'm not arching my back up and pushing. I'm not pushing my midsection up. I'm coming up and I'm staying in a nice straight line from shoulders to knees. Pushing through my heels, glutes are squeezed, and my abs, my belly button is pulled in towards my spine. And we're going to come up and pause and then down. Now, the other thing, and if you want, you can certainly add some resistance. And by the way, this is really good for building up the strength, stretching, and it can help with sciatica as well. So you can take a band and just hold it down across your hips, and we're going to come up. So now I'm adding resistance. It's making my glutes work just a little bit harder. And I'm going to come up and down. And I'm coming up and down. Good. All right, so I'm going to keep this band here because I'm going to show you how you can use it with the next part of this exercise. Now we're going to go to a single leg bridge. Now again, this is a little harder. So you're going to take one leg up in the air. The leg is going to stay here up in the air. We're not going to drop the leg down. And we're going to push up through that other foot and come down. Now the idea is to keep your hips level. For some people, when they come up here, they start losing balance and rotating. Keep your hips level, abs are tight, glutes are squeezed, and you come down. And we're going to come up and down, and up, and down. Good. And we're going to switch legs. Now again, we can go ahead and put the band across our hips, and now it's going to make it a little harder for that other leg. And I'm going to come up and down. And again, you want to make sure that your hips are staying level, and you breathe. Abs are tight. Abs are tight. Good. And if you need to stretch out your back, you can just bring your knees into the chest and release the back. All right, let's see what's next. Clam shells. So you can do this with or without a band tied around your legs. So you're going to lie on your side. Now, if you have a band, a lot of times, again, this is another really good physical therapy exercise for strengthening the hips and the gluteus medius, which is around on the side a little bit. So you're going to lie on your side, knees are stacked, and you're going to have your knees bent in. I'm going to do it without the band first. And keeping your feet together, and you don't want to roll backwards. So you want to stay up. And you're going to open that top leg, and we're getting the side of that hip, and then close. So you can even put your hand here on your hip, and you can feel those muscles working. And open. Good. And open. One more. Good. Notice that as I lifted here, I did not roll back. So let's go, let's sit up, put our legs together. I suggest not knotting it, because when you knot the band, it's almost impossible to get it unknotted. Just make a bow. So if you want to, you can give yourself some resistance, and I'm just going to do a little bit like this because we're only doing a few. So you've got some resistance on the band. Some of you may have a band that's all one piece, and that's perfect for this. And you want to put this up on your thigh. And again, your knees are bent, feet are together, knees together. And I'm just going to keep this resistance. And we're going to open up. Good. So I can really feel the difference that the band makes. So right at the last part of the lift, and what I'm doing when I'm lifting my knees, my feet are staying together. So there's a connection back here in the back. I'm lifting. I'm lifting. Good. And last one. All right. So you probably, if you tried that with a band, you could definitely feel the difference between a band and no band. Okay, so now we're going to go face down. We're getting about halfway through this last part. Lots of exercises here. Okay, so we're going to lie down on our belly. And you can support your chin or support your forehead. And we're going to point our toes. Now, squeezing your glutes. I want this movement coming from your bum. Let's start with the right leg. We're going to lift it up. So it's not going up very high and then down. Now you can do all one leg and then the other, or you can go ahead and alternate. So I'm going to alternate a few, lifting up, lift up, lift up, good, lift up, good job. All right, so again, you're feeling it, it's working your lower back a little bit, but it's also really working those glutes. Okay, let's come up on all fours. Now for some, if this really bothers your wrists, you can, if you have a set of weights, you can either hold your weights. That gets a little bit off your wrists. You want to make sure that your arms are directly under your shoulders, your knees are under your hips, and that you're not sinking down into your shoulders. You want to stay up, so think of pushing away from the floor. All right, let's extend that right leg. Point your toes, and again, using your glutes, lifting that leg up and down. And notice that I'm not just throwing my back up like that and throwing the leg up in the air. I'm really, because I don't want to use my back, I don't want to use it to lift. I want to lift from my glutes. And my abs are tight, and I'm staying level. Again, when you lift your leg, you don't want to rotate your body, okay? This is going to also work your core in keeping level. Let's take the other leg out. And lift. Squeeze the glute. Lift. And lift. And lift. Good. One more. All right. Okay. Let's lie down. Just thinking the best place to lie here. And now we're going to do that figure 4 stretch on the floor. So let's take our right ankle, put it on the top of the thigh. Now for some people, it's very difficult to then grab your thigh and pull your leg in. So you want to thread that right hand through that opening between the legs, grab the back of the thigh. So you can take a band or a towel or a belt and you can put it around the leg and then you can pull it in. So this is your option your modification for pulling in here. So you're going to pull in using your elbow against that inner thigh and push it out. And breathe. So now you're feeling again some stretch in the outer thigh a little bit. And again, you would hold this for 30 seconds. And let's do the other side. So again, you can pull it in. You can put a belt around the leg. If for some people they have a hard time reaching either from flexibility or whatever, and they have a hard time grabbing the back of their leg without arching their back and arching their neck. So you want to make sure that your neck and your head are well supported, that you're not up like this. Make sure that you have good spinal alignment, and then relax. So let's extend our legs, and we're going to grab that right knee, and we're going to pull that right knee if you can. Again, for some people, if you've had hip replacement, you're not really supposed to take your leg across the midline of the body, so this may not be for you. You're going to bring that knee over towards the left shoulder, and you should get a stretch in the glute area. And let's do the other side. You can also do this seated. I don't know if I missed that, but if you're in a chair, you can just bring your knee to your chest. If you're seated in a chair, you can just lift the knee up into the chest, and then you can also take it over. Just make sure you're sitting on the edge of the seat. All right. Using your band, so we'll do this. So you can use your strap or your belt or your towel, or again, you don't have to use anything. We're going to take our leg up and we're going to pull our toes towards us. So you can see I can do this without a strap. It's just the strap or a belt is going to help you get that stretch just a little deeper because you've got some assistance in, pulling. So now my toes can come closer or more pointed to my nose. So think of pushing your heel to the ceiling. Try to get your leg as straight as possible. So now we're stretching out the calf, the hamstring. And breathe. Again, you want to hold your stretches for about 30 seconds. And then from here, I love this stretch. Again, if you don't have a strap or a belt, that's okay. Then here, if you want, you can even, if you can, you want this leg down. And then you can, let's have your right arm out. That will counterbalance you. Start dropping your leg over to the opposite side and hold the strap with that hand. Pushing through the heel. And then you're going to turn your head to the right. So the leg is out on one side, your arm and head are on the opposite side. And you want to push through the heel, try to bring this leg a little more forward. You're going to really feel this in your hip, your IT band, in the back of your knee, in your hamstrings. So this is a really good stretch. The stretching may be, you may feel some discomfort, that's okay. You don't want to feel any pain. And then again from here, if you want, you can even just do your figure 4 stretch right here, using the band to get your foot up. So let's switch sides and do the other side. And again, I like to even do these stretches, sometimes I do them twice, or 2 or 3 times on a side. So let's get our leg up. If you need to, you can keep this leg bent. Otherwise, you could go straight. And let's push that heel to the ceiling and pull your toes towards you. It's very common for you to have for it to be harder on one side than the other. So everybody, it has imbalances in their body. We're stronger on one side, we're more balanced on the other, and this is why we want to work each side, and this is why I like to work each side individually, so that I can really focus on that side. So bringing that leg up as high as possible, really trying to straighten the leg, pushing through the heel. Now let's take that left arm out, turn your head to the left, and drop that leg over to the right, and push through the heel. Try to get that leg a little straighter, and then pull it up a little bit more. I know this is a really hard one, and this, you can really feel those muscles on the side of the leg, in the back of the knee. But sometimes our knee pain is caused from tight muscles as well. So we've got to stretch on one another, and that can be a big source of pain for you as well. And then, of course, if you want, you can put your figure 4 right after this using the strap. So let's go ahead and sit up. And we're going to finish with our hip flexor stretch one more time. And, oh, that stretch felt good. And I like to give myself a little bit more padding under my knees. If you have a blanket or something, you can do that as well. We're going to put our knee on that padding, get your other leg out in front. And if you need to, you can have a chair nearby as well. So we want to make sure that this front leg is out far enough. If your leg is too far back here, when you push forward, you can see my knee is way out past the tops of my toes. So you want that foot out so that when you push forward, that knee stays somewhat over the ankle. Okay? So pushing forward through that hip, you can see how I'm kind of pushing down and forward. So maybe on a little bit of an angle. So right here. The other thing I see a lot of people do is I see them leaning forward here. So if you go ahead right now, if you're doing this, go ahead and lean forward and think about how much do you feel a stretch right here. Not very much. Now I want you to come on up, nice and straight, and push forward. Now you feel the stretch because you're not decreasing the angle. I'm trying to stretch this out because I'm sitting too much, but yet I'm over this way in a position that's just like when I'm seated. So you want to have your body up nice and straight. It's going to open up the front of your body as well. You can breathe better this way when you're not all hunched over. Now to get the side of your hip, and is that you can take your arm over while you're pushing forward, or you can put your hands on either side, on the left side of the leg, and pull yourself around while pushing forward through that hip. Now, one more little thing is as you're doing that, kind of push the hip out to the right a little bit. Oh yeah, you can really feel that. It's also stretching out my quads, my quadriceps, or the top of my thigh. Good, let's do the other side. So I'm going to face you a little bit more. Woo, feels really good. And I'm going to come forward. So notice I have a good step out here. Make sure your knee is over your ankle. The knee is pointing over my laces. My body is up nice and straight. And again, you can either take your arm over towards the right, so you want to do the same side arm as the back leg, or you can put your hands on either side of the leg. Now this does require some balance, so make sure you have a chair that you can grab, and keep pushing forward through this hip. And then just push that hip out a little bit to the left. Ooh, I can really feel that. I felt that deepen right in the inside. And relax. Good. So, I hope you found this helpful. Please feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions. And good luck and keep moving. Thank you.